Hello and welcome to Talking Toxic. I am Chelsea Hearn, your host, and I just wanted to say I am sorry I haven't been around for probably the past month. I launched this podcast to help others, and unfortunately I tragically lost my brother, so I needed to take a little time off. So I'm back and I'm here to help, and I just wanted to go over a little bit of laundry list stuff before we get into today's episode. And if you're looking for the video, if you're just listening to this podcast and you want to see the video of it, me in person, you could follow my YouTube channel that's just been launched. It's at Talking Toxic as well, same name. Also, if you have questions for Q&A Tuesdays or just for me in general, you'll need to follow my Instagram page. I have a personal page. You can follow me at Chelsea Lee Hearn. But the podcast has its own page, and it is at talking with an N, no G, _ toxic podcast. So Talking Toxic Podcast. And on my Instagram account, in the link in the bio, there is a link that it's Linktree that gives you a bunch of options. One of the buttons is to submit questions for my Q&A Tuesdays. And the other is there's an Amazon storefront because I am an Amazon ambassador. So I have a reference section that I like to put books that have helped me, that I have read, that I think that would help you. So if you're ever curious of some books that might help, always go to the link in my bio and my Instagram page, Talking Toxic. The Amazon storefront is on my personal page as well. But if you want to submit questions for Q&A Tuesdays, that's solely on the podcast Instagram page. So head over to there. You could submit your questions, and you can listen going forward for Tuesday episodes to see if your question has been answered. Anything else? Resources I told you about. I'll also be uploading some digital resources, some free downloads, some paid stuff. I personally have gone through the ins and outs of a toxic relationship, and what better evidence of success of all the programs and digital stuff that I've created for you works. So I am my best result, and I think that I could help you as well. So on my Instagram page, that's where all of my resources will be housed. Exclusive programs that I made that no one else has, just based on my long-term experience. If you want to follow me personally, like I said, at Chelsea Lee Hearn. And if you don't have Instagram, which a lot of people don't, I'm on Facebook. Anything that I put on my Instagram page, I created a like page on Facebook. So if you're not an Instagrammer, but you have Facebook, you can head over to Facebook, my like page. It's called Talkin' Toxic, has the same logo. You can follow that. So on my YouTube, Instagram, and on my Facebook like page, all of my information that I share, upcoming podcast episode subjects, any resources that I might upload, just anything. I will be posting everything on those 3 social media outlets for you. Last but not least, because this is a new podcast, not so new because I took a month off, but it's still new to me. I'm still doing an Amazon gift card giveaway for celebrating the launch of this podcast. So all you have to do is subscribe to my podcast, and most of you listening probably already have, and give me 5 stars. Rate it 5 stars, and you can go the extra mile and give a quick little review. Positive reviews, obviously. And the bonus entry, sorry. The Amazon gift card, all you have to do is subscribe, give me 5 stars, and if you want to write a review, that would be excellent. That would be super helpful. For bonus entries, I am watching, I am counting. You follow my personal Instagram page or both the podcast Instagram page or my YouTube channel or my like page on Facebook. So any bonus entries are just by following any of the social media platforms for this podcast. So with all of that being said, the winners will be announced and posted on the like page, the Instagram page, and I'll do a YouTube live video when I do the drawings. The drawings will be at random. I'll give you more information as more comes in, as this gets more traction. I don't know how many I'm gonna do. I know I'm at least gonna do 2. They'll be $100 each. So share your friends, subscribe, download, listen in. There's nothing more I'd love to do than help you. With all that being said, let's get talking. So today's episode, I'm just going to answer 2 Q&As, 2 questions that I've said in previous shows that, you know, I wake up in the morning and I dive into a couple groups and just answer a couple questions. I don't sit in there all day, otherwise I'll lose my mind. But I just try to help a couple people as possible, and the administrators end up throwing me out or deleting my stuff. And I've discussed this before. It's whatever. It's why I created this podcast, so I can reach out to anybody and everybody who wants to listen and take my advice. I'm on a podcast, nobody can delete me. So with that being said, the 2 questions that I just really saw that the comments are still climbing that I just wanted to address. And this, I'll tell you both the questions so you can figure out if you want to tune in for the whole thing. But the first one says, have you noticed in a narcissistic relationship that your partner treats strangers better than you? That's question 1. And then question 2 that I wanted to address was, anyone ever contacted the previous partners of their abuser to compare notes? So that's question 2. So I'm going to get to both of them. If you feel like you have that same question, listen up. So getting into the first question, have you ever noticed that your narcissistic partner treats strangers better than you? They don't. They're just in a different phase than you are. Narcissistic abusers use charm as part of their... To strangers can be kind of love bomb, which I refer you to my toxic terminology episode if you don't know what love bombing and gaslighting is, because it's pretty much what this is. If you find out that, or not find out, if you witness and see that your narcissistic partner, mother, daughter, whoever is treating strangers better than you, it's not the case. They're just treating them the way you were treated when you first met them. And it's part of their manipulation. It's part of winning you over. It's like pulling you in. And same thing if you're at a restaurant and they treat the waitress way better than they have ever treated you, it's because they want that waitress to admire them. They demand admiration. Like, that's one of the symptoms of a narcissist, is they require admiration. So if they put on this front and this act that they're just super genuine and really nice and polite, they're winning them over, and then they admire them. And then they look at you and like, oh wow, you must have a great relationship because you're such a great person, or she's so sweet. But symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, one of them is I'm reading this here. It says, is often envious of others and believes that others are envious of him or her. They're also two-faced, and they act differently in public than they do in private. So those are major red flags. And they're really they're arrogant, and they're trying to manipulate or be nice to someone that's in front of them, just like they did to you. And my answer to this, I did post a little answer. Let me read what I wrote. Here it is. I put, they're acting, manipulating, gaslighting, love bombing. They're treating everyone the same, just you're at a different stage of their abuse. And that's the fact. They're not nice to them. They're weaving their web to, like they did to you. And then once they're found out, once once the person that they're nice to calls them out on their shit, they become in the same situation as you. Like once they've been caught, then the script flips. Then you're crazy and yada, yada, yada. I don't have to go over all the name callings and stuff like that. But if someone has an entirely different personality in front of other people, that should be like a warning. That's so fake. It's fake and it's manipulative. So going through the symptoms of a narcissist, which I have gone over, but I just wanted to go over this again just to remind you why they do this, okay? A narcissist has grandiose sense of self-importance. They exaggerate. Achievements and talents, and they want to be recognized all the time. They are preoccupied with fantasies and unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. They believe that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by special and unique people. So if they think they're like high status, they don't hang out with people below them. Like that's just, obviously they lack empathy. That is a huge tell. That is a huge problem. This is why a lot of people get confused, because they are love bombed with all these great, charming things, but then when something happens to you, they have no empathy. They have no sympathy for you. Like none. They just scientifically, medically cannot feel empathy. Or if they do, they feel very little and not enough to make any major difference in your life. Regularly shows arrogant, attitudes, two-faced, putting friends and family down behind their backs, emotionally distant and unavailable unless they want something, will lie to distort facts and change events to suit their own agenda, tendency to blame their lack of success on others, on failures and on others. So just a reminder of some of the symptoms. So when you see that your narcissist is treating someone better than you, know that they're not. They are just at a different phase of the abuse with them than they are with you. So I hope that answers that question. With the second question, I just wanted to read something real quick. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. The second question was, anyone ever contacted their previous partners of their abusers and compare notes? Why? Unless someone in high school wrote this question, I want to know why. Like, what purpose does that serve? When you call them and you compare notes, then what? Like, what does it do for your life? You don't need validation from someone who hasn't gotten to where you are with that person. Does that make sense? Like, this person is going to, you got to remember that your narcissist or your ex or whatever is is telling their new supply that you're crazy, you're batshit apewall, you're nuts, feeding them all this crap about you, which we all know is nonsense. So when you call them, not only are you validating what your ex said, that you're crazy, because why would you call your ex's new partner? Like, it's just not normal. It's not mature. So not only is he telling them you're crazy, now they're getting a phone call, and I keep saying he, I mean she also. It just flows off my tongue, but it can go both ways. So now you're calling them, and to them, they're like, oh yeah, they are crazy because they're calling me to talk about you and you guys are over. They're not going to believe you. If anything, that just builds up whatever your ex is telling the new supply. You're confirming it by calling and being crazy, because I don't mean to say that you're being crazy. The idea is crazy. The idea and the fantasy of, oh, you calling this person and tell them, hey, they're gonna manipulate you and abuse you and treat you like shit and cheat on you and blah, 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 and name all the things that they've done to you. They're not gonna believe you, number one. Number two, it adds fuel to the fire because your ex would love it. Narcissists love it. They will treat that new supply even better just to piss you off. Like, I want to refer you back to another episode of me talking with the narcissist. I did an episode literally talking with a narcissist, and he addresses this. Like, the more you engage in them in a negative way, it lights their day. They're getting the attention. They don't care if it's negative or positive. It's attention. They don't care. So not only is it creating an issue and validating your narcissist, whatever he's telling the new supply, it serves no purpose. Like, what do you hope to happen? Like, what would happen after that? Okay, you tell them, they heard everything, then what? Are you hoping that they break up? Like, it's just, why? So, they'll eventually find out. Let me just say that. They'll eventually find out, just like you did. And it's not up to you. And I know that you want to save somebody or prevent somebody you want to prevent somebody to stop going through what you went through. And believe me, this is why I do this. This is what brought me here. I want to prevent anybody and anybody that I possibly can from staying in a toxic relationship. So they'll find out. These people don't change. They operate the same. They go through different stages of abuse, and they'll eventually get there. And it's not up to you. It's not up to you. You know what you need to be doing instead of calling the ex? You need to be working on yourself. You need to recover. You need to find your self-worth. You need to understand what happened to you. You need to understand the diagnosis of NPD abuse. And once you do, all of this nonsense, you'll laugh at. Like, not immediately, because trust me, it took me 8 years. Now I laugh at this shit. Like, I'm so educated and enlightened by it. I've been studying it for so long. I can spot it from a mile away, and I laugh at it now. And you will too, hopefully. But what you need to do is not worry about what your ex is doing now, because unless you share children, even then you really don't need to worry about what they're doing. You need to worry about what they're doing when they're with your kids, and that's it. But other than that, work on yourself. Like, get better. Understand what happened to you. Get educated. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I didn't know I was with somebody for 14 years. And after I finally left and went to therapy, I then was told I was being abused. 14 years later, I had no idea. And because I wasn't punched and I didn't have black and blues, to me back then, I didn't really think it was abuse. But now I know that the emotional and the mental and the financial and the verbal abuse is 10 times more toxic, because bruises go away, bruises fade, scratches heal. But what verbal, mental, emotional, financial abuse, physical too, will do to your mental state is a lot more important and a lot more everlasting. Like, the bruises go away, but the mental health, it can really screw you up for a really long time. It can bring you anxiety, it can bring you depression, bring you PTSD, brain damage. Studies have shown that mental abuse literally causes brain damage. So I wanted to read this to you while I'm wrapping this last question up, because I I read this 4 years ago and it really hit home, and it kind of answers to this second question and a lot of other questions that you might have. Like if this sticks to you like it sticks to me, it really will bring you full circle to some of these questions that are like, why do you even want to bother? So it's called attitudes, okay? And it goes like this. Words can never adequately convey the incredible impact or attitude towards our life. The longer I live, the more I'm convinced that I become the life... Rewind. It's written in some funky script, so start over. Skirt. Okay. Words can never be adequately convey the incredible impact of our attitude towards life. The longer I live, the more convinced I become that life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we act towards it, or how we respond towards it. I believe that the single most significant decision that I can make on a day-to-day basis is my choice of attitude. It is more important than my past, my education, my bankroll, my success or my failures, fame or pain, or what others think or say about me, my circumstances or my position. Attitude keeps me going or cripples my progress. Let me say that again. Attitude keeps me going or cripples my progress. It alone fuels my fire or assaults my hope. I'll read that one again too. It alone fuels my fire or assaults my hope. When my attitude is right, there's no barrier too high, no valley too deep, no dream too extreme, no challenge too great for me. Attitude is everything. Once you educate yourself on what's happening to you, you seek therapy, you leave that toxic situation, you get that toxic person out of your life, and you get some clarity. You come out of that black cloud you're living under, and it clears, and sunshine is above you. You will be able, with a clear head, to ask yourself these questions and simply be able to answer them. Your attitude is 10% of what happens to you in life and 90% of how you respond. That is so huge. Something happens to you, you could take it as a lesson or a blessing, or you can have a terrible attitude and it can bring you down. Your mind goes crazy. You can go into depression. Or what happened to you, you could take as a lesson, know your worth, and brush it off. It literally does. Mindset literally does make a difference in everything that we do. So I just hope these two questions help others out there. And if you, again, have any questions for me, I will be checking my submission emails. Please ask anything. I'm an open book. If I don't know the answers, I will find them for you. I never talk about anything that I don't know anything about, and it's important to me to help others get out of this. My mission is to help as many people as possible and to see less and less of these support groups with no support. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and the next episode is going to have a special guest. So I am looking forward to that, and I will talk to you soon.